Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Dear Brother podcast. It's Relationship Friday, man. And let's get right into it. It's Relationship Friday. Some Fridays, well, I would say I would get in trouble on some Fridays, but I don't. We have a lot of women who listen to this podcast as well, man. And every Friday we do Relationship Friday. Um, let's get into it. I want to talk this morning about the lessons that women aren't taught, man. I do. I want to talk about the lessons that a lot of women aren't taught. And this is not an attack. This is a grown man's podcast. Y'all hear me say that a lot. So this isn't an attack on women. I just think it's something that I saw in relationship, and I think I saw something growing up that I really want to bring to the table. Again, our show is a grown man show. We don't blame here. We just discover, man, and try to make things better, and also bring understanding. Because what I see out there in the social media world is a lot of just really anger toward women, and women are angry at men. I mean, we see it, man. I mean, we see the anger. We see the, even me when I do podcasts, man, I can't tell you how many times I've got attacked by men on my podcast for challenging us to be better men. It's like, well, what about the women? And, it's really a lack of accountability. You know what I mean? It's really a lack of accountability in us that we rather talk about women, or even when women do the same thing. If you say something good about men, women, well, it go both ways. You see what I'm saying? And it's always this battle on social media about women against men. And honestly, man, I'm not going to stay here, but I want to throw this in that I think this is a trick. It's a trick to break up families. It's a trick for us to look at each other and devalue each other while the government is playing us all. Now, that's a whole nother podcast. But let's tell the truth, man. It's always been an attack against the family, right? Even in the book of Genesis, man, it was always an enemy there trying to attack the family, trying to separate. Right? This is a spiritual matter. And as long as we don't see the spiritual matter behind it, listen, man, again, I tell you, I'm a spiritual man, not a religious man. I'm a spiritual man, and I pay attention. And you should, as a man too, start paying attention to these patterns, right? Because you'll start to see really behind the curtain. We all looking at the curtain of, oh, we mad at women and women that mad at men, and you got the passport bros and the women. It's like, I don't like men and all that stuff. But that's all a curtain. When you look behind it, the truth is the greatest entity you can ever build is the family. It's stronger than any religious organization. It's stronger than any governmental organization. And it's always been an attack against, since the days of Genesis, there's always been an enemy against the family, right? And because that enemy, we won't look at truth. That's why I want to share some truth today, man, about how we've been taught. Let the truth be told, man. We have a lot of bad teaching as far as relationship goes, right? Bad teaching, right? Sometimes they're good lessons, but they're not balanced lessons. For example, as men, we're traditionally taught to prioritize the treating women, like prioritize the woman, treat her well, protect, provide, respect, and all these things, right? Cover her, provide for her, care for her, hold the door. Even when you grow up, right? I grew up, my father's like, hold the door for your mother, man. Hold the door for your sister, man. Carry the groceries in and all these things. I'm not saying these things are bad lessons. They made me a solid guy, But at the same time, I don't really hear women being taught how to treat men. Women are taught how to treat themselves. Man, like it or not, but come on. Real talk. And listen, I don't let me put my caveat in. Not all, because I know everybody want to attack. It ain't everybody, but generally, there are some general truths, right? So we don't get into tit for tat about all. There are some general truths, and I think the general truth is men are raised to respect this woman. I'm not saying all men are respectful. Look, I'm not gonna keep on fixing my words. Let me just tell y'all some truth. Right? Men are taught, look, do this, do that, open the car door, right? The chivalry and all these different things. But women are taught self-care, right? Self-care, independence, take care of yourself, right? Self-care tips, love yourself, girl. Boys aren't taught that growing up. Think about it. You ain't taught to care about yourself. You're not taught to invest in yourself. You're taught, man, you grow up, get a good job, get a good education, man, so you can provide for your family and blah, 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 right? But it's not taught that way. Women are taught to just fall in love with a man of her dreams. Boys aren't taught to find the woman of your dreams. We're just taught to find a woman we love and take care of her. So what that causes a lot of times is we're not looking deeply into a woman to see if she's fit, because every woman is not fit. Every woman is not a great woman. Come on. And but again, this is the psychology. And I grew up thinking that way. I think that's why I had a season in my life, man, where I couldn't stand women because of how I was taught. I mean, my mother was a jewel. You know what I mean? I was the little boy to play in my mom's hair. I stood at the door, couldn't wait for my mom to get home from work. I loved to hug her. You know what I mean? Smell her perfume. That because in my mind, that created this thing that women are perfect. Right. And so when I went through my first heartbreak at 16 and I found out, oh, women aren't perfect. Women don't take care of you. Women can be mean. Women can be sneaky and conniving. It was like, oh, like my whole world was shattered again because I was taught this way that women are the best thing in the world and just take care of them. Right. And so when I grew up that way, it caused a certain mentality, right? And when that mentality is broken, like, man, that really hurt and it changed my idea toward women. It didn't make me it made me look at everybody sideways now, right? But I think this is why I want to teach this lesson today because it's really how women are taught and how men are taught. Most women aren't taught how to treat a man. No, you're taught how to treat a woman. Most women aren't taught how to treat a man. I'll give y'all an example. When the old women would tell young men, you ain't got to do nothing but F him and feed him. You see what I'm saying? But for us, it's like you got to do this, or you got to pay attention to this, and you got to make sure you know when her hair, when she got her hair done, to compliment her on this. And look, if she got a new nail polish on the tip of her finger that's different, you got to notice that. And if you don't, you're not paying attention. It's so much pressure on the man to do this and do that, but there's no pressure on the woman to even pay attention to the man's emotions, to pay attention to how he's feeling. And again, this is not a blame to women. It's just bad teaching on both sides. It's bad teaching on both sides because the bad teaching for a man, now somebody would say, well, it's not bad to learn how to treat a woman. It's not. But a lot of times what happens is that teaching uh, drives the lesson that you don't matter, right? Here's another one. Happy wife, happy life. Right? Most of the old heads slipped into that, but most of the old heads that gave that lesson wasn't happy. What they were really trying to do was just look, keep her happy enough not to be on your back. It said nothing about your happiness. It said nothing about your contentness. Right? Your contentment in a relationship. It was all about just keeping her happy. Now, you know how many men have been married for years and not happy? Mhm. We find the man cave, right? We find our favorite beer, right? We find something that can just get us away and be at peace. My dad was like that. My dad took the garage, man, turned it into a den, right? Right? He converted the garage into a den, and at first it ain't had no door on it. You know what I mean? Everybody was welcome. And then after a few years, I watched my pop put a door on the thing and everything. It was his man cave, right? And even though the man cave is cool, that's where your TV is and all your stuff and your peace, a lot of men really go in there to die and separate. A lot of man caves become a place of isolation. It's one thing to have a place to have fun, to enjoy yourself that just belong to you after you've taken care of the kids and the wife and done all your duties. But at the same time, you got to watch for when that man cave becomes an escape from your family, right? Because a lot of men go in caves to die, man. And you know it, and I know it. Sometimes it ain't about the game being on the TV. Sometimes it's like, man, I just ain't got to deal with her. I ain't got to deal with life with her. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people that celebrate anniversaries. Oh, we've been married 15 years. We've been married 20 years, especially in religious society. You know, especially Christians. We love to brag on how long we've been married. I grew up and started asking people, how long you been happy? Right? How long you been happy, bro? You know, I've been with my wife for 50 years. How long you been happy? Right? How many years did you go without because you were taught not to ask her for anything? As long as you had a hot meal. See, that's more than that. We need more than a hot meal. You know why? Because times have changed. Right? In the older days, my father and them generation, they worked 10, 12 hours a day. My dad ain't know how to cook. A lot of men ain't know how to cook back then because of the gender role thing. They didn't have to cook. They didn't have to wash the clothes. They had to get the money, bring it home, take care of the family. That's when a lot of women didn't have to work, right? And so things were different. The rules changed now. Men need more than that. Why? Because the modern man knows how to cook. The modern man knows how to clean. The modern man has his degrees. The modern man has this and has his own place, and he well put together. So it's a lot more now that we need from a woman that's deeper than being effed and being fed and you know what I mean, having our clothes washed. No, it's a lot more than that. But again, those women in that generation were taught how to treat a man. This is how you love him. This is how you care for him. This is how you be patient with him. Different things like that. This is how you support him. But there's a new wave now where it's like, no, it's just me, it's self-care. I look beautiful and he need to be chasing me and blah, blah, blah. And what happens to the man? Nothing happens for him. And so the impact on relationships is it's an imbalance. An imbalance comes, man. And the imbalance is led by a complete misunderstanding. Most of the arguments that relationships have or couples have is the misunderstanding of needs, right? It's the misunderstanding of needs based on the bad teaching I was just talking about, right? And so what happens is a lot of men, a lot of us go neglected in a relationship, and we're silent because we don't complain. We'll just sit back and ponder. That's what led to a lot of us cheating, right? Because cheating don't start with a hotel room. Cheating starts when you start feeling valued by somebody else, right? That's what really we need, man. We need to feel valued. It ain't even about all the other stuff. We don't care about BBLs, and we don't care about all this. No, especially as grown men in our community, we realize all that is just smoke and mirrors, right? We need to feel valued for what we offer. And a lot of you have been through divorce or been through disappointment with women because the really driving force was, out of all the arguments you can have about a bunch of other stuff, the reality was you didn't feel valued, and you didn't know how to say that. You just didn't know how to say, I don't feel valued, because a lot of times for us as men, we don't have the words for our feelings. That's why a lot of us deal with anger issues, or we just leave because we haven't been taught to communicate our disappointment, because we weren't raised to communicate about anything, right? Because we saw our fathers and our grandfathers just be like, man, whatever, and leave. And there's some lessons our fathers and grandfathers taught us that was real. There's a lot of lessons our grandfathers and fathers and great grandfathers taught us, and uncles that taught us, that wasn't so good. My father taught me straight out, don't ever trust no woman. And I'm like, Dad, for real? He's like, yeah, man, don't trust no woman, man. They gonna get you, bro. Right? Right? But at the same time, he taught me, take care of her. If you got one, take care of her, but don't trust her. Right? And so where did that come from? That came from his own experience. Now, at the same time, I knew what he was saying, but that also came from his own experience, just like women. Right? A woman will women teach women, have your own, take care of yourself. That's why a lot of women have something in the tuck, she'll spend your money and keep hers. Because these are all lessons, man. And these are all bad lessons that keep us from really getting together. And when we do get together, those lessons are in the back of your mind. She's still saying, I gotta tuck something away just in case he leave me. So she'll have money and spend yours. And back of our mind, it's like, man, I ain't gonna trust this babe. So at the same time, you with her, but you always side eye. A lot of things, man. And again, a lot of you have experienced different things where you know what I'm talking about. And whether it came from a different direction or a different lesson, you know what I mean. Right? But there's an imbalance in relationships. Relationships struggle when one partner feels undervalued and one partner feels unsupported. And again, these are words that women use. Oh, I feel undervalued. I feel unsupported. And at the same time, they never ask, am I supporting him? I'm going to end this podcast with 3 women you better absolutely avoid. 3 women you absolutely better avoid. And I'll get to them, right? But you got to understand the impact of this mindset on relationships. Why the question is, why are relationships failing? Because a lot of times there's lessons we've been taught wrong. There's lessons that women haven't been taught at all, right? Number 3, cultural shifts. Again, I mentioned this earlier. Times have changed. Needs have changed. Things have changed, right? A lot of women now drive themselves on what they have. I got a degree and I got a doctorate and I got this. I really wish women knew that men didn't care, right? Not dishonor for her hard work, but as far as when it comes to relationship, a man, we don't care whether you got a degree. We don't care whether you have a PhD. We care how you make us feel. And if that PhD makes us feel like we're worthless, then who cares about your degree? It doesn't mean anything, right? There's a lot of things women feel like matters to men that really doesn't. Again, you see, because there's not women there teaching men, teaching women, there's not women there teaching other women that men don't care about these eyelashes. In fact, we hate them most of the time. And men don't care about this full face of makeup because half the time we just want a natural babe with natural hair to look beautiful, right? A lot of this stuff is a straight up clown show, but there's not women there to tell a woman that's a clown show. What really matters to a man? I mean, we don't care. We don't care. That's why a lot of times I talk about this often, and this is funny. When a man cheats on a woman, the first thing a woman want to do is see what the other woman look like, because again, that's the lesson. That's the lesson of how they feel valued. What she look like, what her body like. And that's the lesson they've been taught. As long as I got this body together, that's why they going to get their stomachs all chopped up and taking fat out of this part and thighs and putting it in. All that crazy stuff that we don't care about. What we care about is character. What we care about is how we feel, how you make us feel. Do we feel valuable after working hard and taking care of you? Right? So a woman to say, well, I want to see this woman he cheated with. Oh my gosh, she don't look good as me. Because it wasn't ever about that. It was about she gave you a smile and said, hey, bro, that's a nice tie, man. Hey, man, your haircut look good. Why? Because there's a situations where women aren't taught to validate their man at all. You're just supposed to climb the rough side of the mountain, right? This is another concept I often talk about, that the chase, women want to be chased. There is a time to chase a woman, right? And then women say, I want to feel like I'm still being pursued. That's not a relationship. And I'm telling y'all right now, if a woman feels like you always got to be pursuing her, it's one thing to treat a woman well. It's another thing to keep on chasing her. If I have you, if I've chased and I've won you, why am I going to keep on pursuing you? That doesn't make sense. A real relationship is about pursuing her. And once y'all connect, then y'all start pursuing life together. Don't be with no woman that says, I need to feel like you chasing me. Well, what are we in? Are we together? If I'm chasing you, we're not together. Again, when I say stop chasing, that doesn't mean don't respect her or love her, surprise her. These are all the things women like. So you do it. But at the same time, if a woman wants you to chase her, that means that she a lot of times needs validation. A lot of women who constantly need to be chased have low self-esteem and need to feel constantly valued. Right. I remember an interview a few years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when Stephen Curry's wife, the Stephen Curry that plays for the Golden State Warriors, she was on some podcast or some show, and she said, "Yeah, men aren't in my inbox no more. It's not that I want to be with them. I just want to know I still got it." What? Huh? You're married. You have children. You're married to a star basketball player, and you're going to openly say on a show, I need men to get in my inbox just to know I still got it. See, that's a brokenness, man. That's a brokenness in a lot of women that still want this chase. They want to be chased, and a lot of women rather be chased than taken care of. 'Cause I'm gonna tell you, a real solid relationship is boring. Right? And when I say boring, I'm not talking about unattractive boring. It's a good meal, it's a good movie, it's a cuddle on the couch, it's a would you want another piece of cake? Let me get you right? It's a playing in your hair, it's a chill. It ain't a bunch of chasing because you know what? You know what that happens when the chase turns into drama and drama turns into chaos. That's the danger of the chase, right? So things have changed. I think what we need is mutual relationship. And I'm going to write a book. I want to put it out maybe in 20, maybe this year is tough. I got a lot going on, but maybe by next year. I've been thinking about this for about 2 years about emotional, not imbalance. Oh God. Um, but the book is centered around the concept of emotional imbalance in relationship or emotional equality. That's it. Emotional equality. There's not a lot of emotional equality. It's not a lot of emotional equality in relationships, right? And so what happens is we got to fight for a lot of times for emotional equality in a relationship. That's why a woman can say certain things and you can say the same thing back to her verbatim and her heart is broken, right? There's things that women feel like they can get away with emotionally that a man could. could never get away with, right? That's because there's an imbalance. You're supposed to treat me like this, even if I don't treat you like this. Again, that comes from the bad teaching from when we were little kids. Hold the door, be chivalrous, love her, care for her, and she can treat you any type of way. That's not real. It's not right, and that's a trash teaching, right? So really, what we need is mutual relationship teaching, right? That men and women should be taught how to treat each other and have empathy for each other, respect for each other, support each other. Where that's what a relationship is. It's a give and take, right? And sometimes they say, oh, you need to bring 100% of yourself and I bring 100% of myself. And the truth is, no relationship, because we're human beings, there's not always somebody bringing 100%. Right? Sometimes you're gonna bring your 20 and she got to bring an 80. And sometimes you're gonna bring your 80 or your 90 and she got to bring her 10 until the thing balances out. That's real relationship. It's getting in there. And guess what else is not? It's not basing your relationship on some trash you seen on social media. It's not basing your relationship on some trash you see on some reality TV show. Right? I wish to God that some of them shows would just shut down because they have messed up culture and society so bad, where a lot of women begin to feel like being a woman is. That's why you see these old ladies on these shows, been on them since they was in their 30s, right? Still caking their face with makeup, wearing bad weaves and walking around on a Tuesday with a glass of wine like that's real life. And there's some women that buy into that, believing that that's reality, right? Having your hair laid and pressed all the time and having this and that and walking around with your champagne with a face full of makeup talking crazy. That ain't a relationship. But you'd be surprised how many women have watched these TV shows and have based their character on a character, right? And so what's the solution? Balance. The solution is balance. That's what it is. It's balance. It's balance. It's emotional equality. Y'all gotta keep me accountable. I'm gonna write that book, man, because I think it will heal. I don't get on this podcast and talk different things to break anybody. I talk to heal, again, because I'm a spiritual man and I get to look past the curtain. I always ask God, let me look past what's going on in society to see the spiritual ramifications. Whether you believe it or not, man, we live in a spiritual world, and everything we see in the natural is a hoax, bro. You gotta, as a man, you got to start developing eyes for spirituality where you can see. Even when your girl and your wife is acting up, you got to be able to see, hold up, what is that? Right? I'm telling you, bro, men, I'm going to tell you how awesome you are, bro. We've been beat down in society. We just go to work, come home, go to work, give everything away. Nah, man. The other duty of a man is to see spiritually, because women see emotionally. You got to see spiritually. You got to be able to see what's going on behind the curtains. You got to have intellect, spiritual intellect, right? A lot of times women tell us, we want you to be emotionally intelligent. Yeah. Should we be emotionally intelligent? As yes, as men? Yes. But at the same time, I'm telling you, your brother is telling you that you also need to have spiritual intellect to be able to see what's going on. So you're not arguing with the third man in the room. You know how many of you brothers go through that with your woman? She arguing with you, but really it's some past thing she's dealing with. So that way she grew up. And before you go off and get all mad at what she's saying, sometimes you gotta take a pause and listen and say, wait a minute, that's the little girl in my wife talking. That's the 16-year-old broken girl. That ain't got nothing to do with me. And it's not for you to say flag it and say ain't got nothing to do with me, but you can help her by showing her, babe, where's that coming from? That might be coming from somewhere else. You hear what I'm saying, brothers? You got to be spiritually intellectual enough to see through what's really happening and address it. That's the power of manhood. That's what women don't have, the ability to see through a situation and say, hold up, there's a deeper meaning that we might have to address behind. That's manhood. Manhood ain't blowing up. And trust me, I've blown up. I've got pissed off. I left. I got in my car. I've been through all that. I ain't going, because my thing is I ain't going through that. That's because I was broken too. And I ain't feel like no more. You see what I'm saying? But a maturity, man, I had to grow a maturity where it's not about just grabbing my hat and getting my keys and saying, man, I'm out of here. An emotional maturity I had to develop that, where I can say, hold up, well, what is this? So right, because emotionally mature, being spiritually mature or having spiritual intellect doesn't mean you have to put up with crap. It just means that you can see what it is. And if it is straight up crap, then you got a right to go. But a lot of times it's not crap. Is women, is that's why I call it the third person in the room. It's her saying one thing, but it's being something else. It's her arguing with you when it's really her arguing with her father. It's really her going off on you when it's really a broken place in her 20s or her teens that somebody hurt her there. And right now, I know some of y'all, well, not on this channel. On this channel, we grown men, grown podcasts. But there's some men that's like, man, I ain't trying to hear none of that. Bro, that's not manhood. That's not manhood to not want to hear none of this. You just want a woman to be a certain way, right? There are some women that is broken, bro, and you can never be with them. And again, I'm about to hit this in a few seconds. But there are some women that are great women that just can't get past the pain of their past. And you got to be able to look through what she's going through and love her through it. Because a lot of women don't want to be the way they are. They just need help coming out of it. Right. So let me deal with this. There's three women. There's three women you absolutely want to avoid, bro. Three women you must avoid with everything you got in you. And you have to. The self-centered woman. The self-centered woman. The woman who focuses only on her needs, her desires, without considering you at all. Her focus is on her, bro. It will always be on her. Right? This is the woman that feels like she can cook you one meal a week to keep you satisfied like a little puppy. This is the woman who wants to run you in circles. This is the woman who will play with you emotionally to try to keep you in place, even though she's going to run around with her emotions. The self-centered woman, the woman who will do for you only for you to do for her. Self-centered, totally. She only views relationships as transactional. It's never a partnership. It's about what you do for her. It's the bad teaching you hear in social media now that what he got to do this and he got to do this, he got to do this, he got to take me on this kind of date, he got to drive this kind of car, he got to in order to, right? I was watching a podcast the other day and the woman said, you know, my man lost his job and I left him because I told him straight up to be with me, he got to hold everything down financially, even if I ain't gonna add nothing to the table. And to be with me, that didn't sound relational at all. That's a self-centered woman. Stay away from her. The next woman you want to completely avoid is the entitled woman. Avoid the entitled woman. She expects to be treated like a queen, but offers you nothing in return. Nothing in return. The entitled woman. You're going to treat me like this no matter what I give you. Right? Now, I know some of y'all saying, I would never be with that kind of woman. Some of y'all with that kind of woman right now. You just couldn't see it clearly until you heard this podcast. Right? It's because listen, a woman knows how to get what she wants from a man, bro. She's never going to tell you I'm an entitled woman. She's going to play the game to keep you in check. Right? But that's the woman who, look, her idea is never to give you anything in return. Right? She's the one that takes your kindness and your effort for granted, bro. That's the woman that says, I'm supposed to get this from anybody, right? From any man. This is the kind of woman that will cheat on you when you're not giving her enough attention. She doesn't want another man. She wants attention, and she's going to take it from whoever wants to give it to her. This is the woman who brags on her work husband. Uh-oh. I better get out of here now. Stay away from the entitled woman. Stay away from the self-centered woman. Stay away from the entitled woman. And third, I believe this is the roughest woman to deal with. Stay away from the emotionally unavailable woman. The woman who she ain't available. She ain't available. She lacks the ability or willingness, bro, to connect emotionally. Seriously, right? She's the one that's the hard rock that you got to chip through. Let me tell you something. I'm not saying that the woman is not worth that. But what I'm saying is there's some women with a hard exterior that by time you chip through all her pain, you have no energy left for the relationship. Right? This is the woman that always wants you to climb the rough side of the mountain to get to her. And she keeps on moving the goalposts. Every time you think you're at the top, the mountain get taller. That's the emotional unavailable woman who will work you to death for her love that she'll never give you anyway. Right? This is the one that avoids vulnerability. She admits nothing. She'll talk about your flaws, but will never talk about hers. She will remind you of everything you need to be and become, but she is not worried about what she needs to be and become. You hear what I'm saying? And ultimately, she's never going to be concerned about your emotional needs as a man, ever, no matter what you do. The self-centered woman, the entitled woman, and the emotional, unavailable woman. You avoid them. Why? Because of everything I taught earlier. Hey, y'all, thanks for listening to the show today. Hey, visit my website, christianwinters.com, man. If some of you guys need one-on-one counseling, if you if you got a group, right, I'll come speak to a group of men. If some of you out there that having events for men and things like that, go on my website, christianwinters.com, and you can book me to come speak at your event. I would love to come, love to be with you, love to share my heart, man. Bring some books as well. Hey, go on Amazon.com as well, guys. I got a book for you available on Amazon.com. Let me see. Go get it. It's Home Where Hurt Men Heal on Amazon right now. Go check it out. Go check it out. Amazon.com, Home Where Hurt Men Heal. I wrote this book in one of the roughest places in my life. And home is not about just a physical place. Sometimes it is. Sometimes some of you guys need to go home. You out here wilding, out here out of control, trying to find yourself. Some of y'all do need to go to a physical home. Go home, back to your family, back to your lady. But sometimes it's not a physical place. Sometimes the home you need to revisit is right here. It's a sanctuary of your mind. It's to declutter your mind from everything that's happened to you, you've gone through. Declutter this mind so you can get back to yourself. Most times we are the home we need to go back to. The unbothered you, right? The encouraged you, the courageous you, the one that you believed in yourself. You need to revisit that guy. Because even though time and chance happen to everybody, man, life has hit me hard, right? I've eulogized my parents, right? My dad was 59, mom 62. I lost one of my children at 4 months old. Life has happened to me, man. Right? I've been homeless. I lived in cars. I've been through all kinds of stuff. Right? But I had to. That will separate you from yourself. But go back home. Go back home so you could be a better husband, a better boyfriend, a better father. And if you don't have any of that, be a better you, because you're worth that, bro. Go get that book right there, Amazon.com. Also, some of you married brothers, man, it will be good for you to go get the Soul of Sarah on Amazon.com too. Why? You and your woman can sit down, do a book study together, right? You can sit down with Home. She can sit down with Soul of Sarah. And y'all can sit there, man. This is the book I wrote for women right after I eulogized my mother. The Lord told me, write a book, man, to show women who they really are and to get away from all this fake nonsense, but show women who they really are from the core of themselves. So, man, get in this book. Get this book for your wife, man. Y'all sit down and do a book study together. They're short books, because I wanted to write books that are concise, man, so women can get it. But they're packed with wisdom. Both of them packed with wisdom and knowledge, man. Build your relationship, make it better. Hey, man, I love you guys, man. You matter to me. Understand this, bro. You matter to me. Make sure you matter to you, right? You got to make sure you matter to you. Decide things like you matter to you. Slow your pace. Take time because you matter to you. No fear, no shame, no compromise. I want to end the show like I always do, bro. Yesterday is history, and tomorrow is a mystery. All we got is right now, my guy. What you gonna do with it? What you gonna do about it? Hey, I love you, bro. Hang tight, stand tall, be brilliant today, because that's what you are. Peace.